Here is 5 sneakers that are so popular, people are willing to pay way more than they actually cost. So let's find out why. So going from popular to selling out in seconds, this is Zendaya's first ever shoe. So it's called the Cloudzone Moon, the first ever co-created Zendaya and On Running collaboration. Now, when I first saw this sneaker, I thought to myself like, damn, that could actually be really good. But when I actually went to buy the pair of shoes and realized they were $200, I got a little bit skeptical. Now, important to mention, On already makes a pair of shoes called the Cloudzone. Now, they cost $150. Now, there is a slight difference between this shoe and that shoe, but most of it happens with the upper. The actual midsole is identical. So what are we actually paying that extra 50 bucks for? Well, turns out after feeling these in hand, not much, at least physically. So the upper is comprised by 2 different layers of mesh, a much wider fabric one on the inside, and over the top is almost a plastic feeling mesh. Now, on top of that is a ton of fake leather. Fake leather on the tongue, fake leather on the heel, on the toe box, and some fake suede around the laces. Now, it does visually make the shoe at least look a little bit more interesting than the super minimal option that you get with a $150 Cloudzone, but it definitely feels like, at least in terms of physical additions to this pair of shoes and that $50 price point, I don't think they're adding that value to it, at least by looks. But who knows? Let's try these things on and really figure it out and see if this is literally just a cash grab. Alrighty, Zendaya's shoes. Let's throw these things on and see if they're ultimately comfortable. Ooh, it does have a textured insole, which is interesting. Alright, here we go. Looks-wise, not the worst. I kind of like the red. Maybe I just like it right now because it's kind of matchy-matchy. Comfort is a little bit underwhelming, if I'm honest. I've tried the Cloud Tilt, the Cloud Surfer, 2 of which are kind of like my go-to for comfortable on shoes, and these just feel a little bit more solid than I was expecting. Not that much squish. I mean, it's okay, it's not bad. These are definitely not uncomfortable, but I just wouldn't put them up there as like in the most comfortable on shoes that I've tried. There's also a textured insole, which feels a little bit interesting. That would take some getting used to, but $200, I'm not really feeling that. It just seems grossly overpriced, if I'm honest. But maybe if you're a huge fan of Zendaya, I guess. I mean, they're not the worst looking shoes by any means. But unfortunately, I'm gonna have to give these, the hype is not worth it. Next, we got the Nigel Sylvester Jordan 1s. Now, what's so crazy about this release is that Jordan 1s for the past year or so have been sitting on shelves. Even the crazy hyped up colorways like the shattered backboards and the Obsidian 1 lows may even be able to find those like under retail. But somehow Nigel Sylvester managed to make this pair of Jordan 1s sell out in seconds. So are the shoes actually good, or is it all just hype? Well, immediately just based off of the box, you can tell you're going to be getting a more premium experience. You've got 2 additional laces, 1 black and 1 red. You get a custom Jordan 1 box with bike instead of Nike. You also get an actual bicycle on the inside of the lid. Oh yeah, and there's also some subtle foreshadowing in the sail color on here. It has all of these like yellow elements around the edges to kind of showcase that this is an old, worn out, aged box. Now, immediately when you feel the shoes in hand, there is also a noticeable upgrade. The leather is thicker than your standard Jordan 1. It feels softer and just overall feels like it's going to be a lot more durable. And alongside the material upgrade from a standard pair of Jordan 1s, you also get a much thicker insole that is also softer. You have 1 additional lace hoop, so now you've got 8 on the Nigels versus 7 on a standard Jordan. The Nike swoosh itself is a tiny bit larger. And then you've got all of the unique details that are specific to this sneaker. Noticeably, all of the scuff marks that are all over this thing. You'll find it on the back. It's actually textured, so either they layered some paint on top or they literally just took a sandpaper to it. Then, of course, it has all of the aged elements, like the midsole is noticeably orange, almost like they rubbed dirt in it. Same thing goes for the Nike Nike swoosh, especially on the medial side. Nigel Sylvester is very present on all of the different elements that he added. The Bike Air on the tongue, of course. You've got Bike Air on the insole and Nigel Sylvester on the other pair. Somehow they managed to make the medial Nike swoosh on here reflective, which is interesting. However, on the outside, something that I'm not the biggest fan of, they removed it. So you now just have a printed Nike swoosh, which I think I would have preferred an overlay of material. And then lastly, you also get a little Jordan Biking Co. thing, little print on the actual sock liner. Oh, and I almost forgot the mini Nike swoosh. That is now a signature for Nigel Sylvester across all of his Jordan and Nike collabs. Hey, let's throw these things on and see what they're actually all about. Oh, we got the Nigel's new shoes. Now, the main thing I do really want to figure out with these things is, are they actually more comfortable? What are the differences on foot compared to a regular pair of Jordan 1s? Because immediately, one of the coolest things I'm seeing just visually, because of that extra eye stay, the extra like lace hole, you can loose lace them like this. So the laces just kind of hang out, which is nice. Typically I'd have to lace them specially in order to get this look, and it's never perfect, but this is. All right, so we'll start off, just put one foot in there and the other. I also will say I'm not usually like a black sneaker guy, at least it wouldn't be my first choice. I'd go for lighter options, but there is something about like all of the sail. They are looking smart, like with the black pants. Did not expect to like these as much as I do. Wow. Is it a wider toe box? I'm not entirely sure. It feels a little bit wider. I could be wrong. I'm gonna side-by-side test them in a second, but this is cool. Okay, there's something to these. Let's throw on a regular pair of Jordan 1s and let's give it a side-by-side. Okay, immediately you feel the softer insole. That's a given. In terms of shape, there is just something that feels better about the Nigels. I can't quite explain it, whether it's like the thicker leather on top, so it feels a little bit more padded and substantial compared to the regular Jordan 1s. It's very marginal, so it's not like, hey, buy the Nigels because you're gonna get a much more comfortable experience. It is a cool looking pair of shoes. Honestly, it's interesting. It does feel more comfortable than these, but again, marginal. Honestly, I'm gonna have to say the Nigels are worth it. I actually like them a lot more than I originally thought I was going to. That's not just me just saying that. You can see they look good, am I right? Yeah. Solid rating. Next, we got one of the more interesting shoes that I've seen released recently, and it's called the Hoka Mach X Caged. Whoa, these are crazy. So like what a lot of other running shoe brands have been doing recently is blending a actual performance running shoe with casual lifestyle wear. And that's exactly what this pair of shoes is. By all means and all design cues, it's a performance running shoe, but Hoka specifically made this for people to wear every single day. Now, Hoka, of course, needs no introduction. They have absolutely exploded in popularity. They've even done collaborations with luxury designer brands, which for just a running shoe brand is pretty wild. And this is, I guess, their first real move into that hybrid space of like a running shoe that's meant to be worn casually. Now, I did love their first lifestyle attempt, which was the Elevon X. Very premium, very nice. But these things, well, they just look way cooler. Almost, well, literally like an alien. So the upper is basically two different layers. You've got a thin mesh material, which feels like it's going to be very breathable, and it definitely has those alien vibes, but the cage is where most of that comes in. It's all over textured rubber, and it's got a bunch of holes, which are all like organic shapes and just very cool looking. Now, the midsole, they literally just took from one of their high-end performance running shoes and just slapped it in here. So you've got dual density foam, a much softer one at the top, and a slightly firmer one underneath. But interestingly, it's got a plate in it, which usually is for like super running shoes. So wearing these around casually is going to be interesting. Let's figure it out. Right, very promising, the Hokas. Now, I will say I am a huge fan of this category of shoe, where it's like a hybrid shoe, something that you can wear casually and for, you know, the gym and stuff like that. So Hoka entering this space, it is promising. Whoa, and immediately this has got a textured insole, so it kind of feels like you're stepping into something alien. But if I'm being honest, I'm a little bit skeptical because of the price point. It's like $200, so that puts them firmly in the premium space. Okay, not as soft as I was really hoping for. It feels a little bit stiff, if I'm honest. That plate is also throwing me off. It has a bit of like, it doesn't even really feel like it has that propulsion feeling that I normally feel with plate shoes. It almost feels like there's not enough foam on the heel, so you kind of feel like your foot is leaning back. Looks wise, I like them. I think they look really cool. Maybe not with this weird outfit that I decided to go with. That puts it pretty firmly at like the same price as these. I know these are a little bit more expensive, $210, but in terms of competition, yeah, it's just not even really close. The Pegasus is just so much more squishy. Arguably, you could say that they look a little bit better. I don't know, there's a lot of competition in this category. You've got Adidas with the Evo SLs, which are a lot cheaper, 130, 150 bucks. You've got Nike with a ton of like max cushion offers. If you like, you know, soft shoes, just don't know about these. They feel a little bit awkward. I couldn't imagine wearing these all day and feeling that great. Something like this with the Nikes, they're a lot softer, they're a lot more flat, and just feel a little bit more normal. Yeah, Hoka, unfortunately, I love the way that these things look, but I'm gonna have to give it not worth it. Similar to the Hokas, we've got another running shoe brand, and this one also has absolutely been taking over. This is the Asics GT-2160. Now, I know this shoe has been out for a minute, but here in 2025, it is more popular than ever, and it just seems to be getting more and more popular. Now, I've spoken about this pair of shoes in the past. However, it's like the least tested version, at least for myself personally, in comparison to the other shoes like the Kayano 14s, the Gel 1130s, Gel NYCs. I've tested those far more than this one. And this being my first real everyday pair, I really want to know how it stacks up against those. If you haven't tried out any Asics before, should you buy these over the Kayanos? Same thing goes for all of the other models. Are these better? Are they unique? Why is everybody after this pair of Asics shoes? Well, there is only one way to find out. All right, Asics GT-2160. So, like I said, one of the main things I want to achieve are these better than the other ones, because if not, then maybe you should just go for some of the other shoes like the Kayano 14s, one of my most worn shoes, full stop. I wear these things all the time. Now, importantly, the GT-2160 is cheaper. It's not as cheap as the 1130s, but I've tested the Kayanos, the NYCs, and the 1130s a lot more than I have this shoe, and immediately that's cozy. Okay, wow, a lot more comfy than I remember. Looks wise, I mean, this is a fantastic colorway. Is it better than the Kayanos? Is it better? These are cheaper than the Kayanos, a little bit more expensive than the 1130s. So let's do a little side by side. That's interesting. Side by side, it feels like there's more cushioning in the GT-2160, although that might be due to the fact that I've just worn these so much. Which one looks better? Why do I like the 2160s more? I did not expect that. Okay, look, honestly, they're very, very similar. All in all, they're both extremely comfortable shoes that you can wear for almost anything. But for the price, I might just have to say the 2160s are worth it. I think they're a bump up from the 1130s in comfort and I think value. I think the value proposition is definitely there. I would take these over the 1130s. However, I might even take these over the Kayanos. GT-2160, is it worth the hype? Yes. And up next, this one is absolutely insane. This is the Nike Air Max 1000. It is the most futuristic sneaker that Nike has ever made, and they just released yesterday in two different colorways, the black and oat, which sold out in seconds. Now granted, they only released about 100 pairs in each colorway. However, the demand for these things is massive. Now, as you may or may not know, this is a fully 3D printed shoe, meaning it was actually made by a company called Zellerfeld, who is kind of the pioneers in this space. Now, I personally am a bit of a nerd when it comes to 3D printing, not in the fact of like I have copious amounts of knowledge, but I just nerd out over these things because they are so cool. And I've also made a ton of videos on different 3D printed shoes from Zellerfeld. In fact, I even went to Zellerfeld's factory in Germany and saw the process of how this pair of shoes was made. They showcased the alien looking machines where these are printed. It's a wild video. If you want to check it out, I'll leave it linked in the description description. But yeah, if you're interested in 3D printing, that's the video for you. But what I want to determine now is, why is everyone going so crazy for the Nike pair? There's a ton of other options when it comes to 3D printed footwear, and spoiler alert, they are all made from the exact same material. The only reason why this is physically different is that air unit in the back. But is this the most comfortable? Is it the best looking, the best designed? Well, let's go and find out and throw these things on. Air Max 1000. Are these things worth it? Now, a little bit of a backstory. I got these like ages ago, I think when Complex Con was on, which was like 8 months ago, but it wasn't my size. So this is actually my size, and it is a tight fit. Now, also, I will say I've tried out so many 3D printed shoes. In fact, these are 3D printed. This is Seth's shoe. He made them with Zellerfeld as well. So you are getting the same exact material across the board. I think these are like 150. There's some other ones for like 250. So what is unique about Nike's shoe? Well, I think first off, looks. They look great. If I'm being honest, it's probably one of my favorite designs from Zellerfeld. They look like Nikes, but 3D printed. It's pretty unique. The craziest part is that they've gone so futuristic with the rest of the shoe that the one Nike element in this sneaker, which is the air unit, is what's actually uncomfortable. Not uncomfortable, but like it's not soft. Like you feel pretty much any other Zellerfeld shoe, it's super soft and squishy. This is not as soft. It's probably the hardest part in the shoe. As far as like, is this worth it? If you're a fan of the design, and I mean, it's definitely not worth the price that they're going for now, but when they release more, is it going to be worth 180 bucks? Yes, if you like Nike's design, but no, if there's cheaper options on Zellerfeld that are a lot more comfortable. Like I've tried a bunch of different options from different, you know, smaller designers. They feel a lot more comfortable. So this is a bit of a yes and a no. Yes, it's worth it, but also no, it just depends what you like. Are you more design over comfort? Because I mean, these are comfortable enough to be like, I would buy these just for like the design and the comfort. It's a cool pair of shoes. So yeah, I'm kind of torn with this one. Is it the most comfortable 3D printed shoe? No. But is it the coolest design? Potentially. But there you have it, guys. What? Oh, no. Okay, that didn't work. But there you have it, guys. Some of the most hyped sneakers that are out there right now. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. And if you agree with me, are some of these worth it or not? Do you differ in opinion? And let me know which one of these would you actually wear. But of course, thanks for hanging out. And if you want to catch another video, there'll be one in the top left-hand corner over there. Check it out.